Hello, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be building up the classic Austrian Mini from Hella. This is 1 in 43 scale and it's kit number 80153. It's only 71mm long, 34mm wide, and it consists of only 52 pieces. I must confess I've never built up a Hella kit before, so this should be an experience. And just in case you can't tell by the box, this is a French kit, which makes a change as the UK and the US seem to dominate this market. In total I have 4 sprues, plus a large double-sided instruction sheet, and we'll take a quick look at that first. It's full of exploded diagrams and there's only 11 steps to follow in total. It also comes with a decal sheet for the number plate, but it just says Mini Special rather than displaying an actual number. And here's all the components laid out. Lastly, we have a booklet advertising the other kits within this range, and I can see quite a lot of vintage vehicles, and I think they're more interesting than their modern counterparts. Right, I'm going to make a start with the assembly, but I'm not following the guide just yet. There are only 3 parts I need so I can complete the outer shell, as I'm wanting to spray on that colour with one pass, and according to the instructions it shouldn't cause a problem by doing it this way around. The parts are being cut off, cleaned up and ready to glue. There are slight gaps where the light fittings are, so I'm hoping they get covered up at a later stage. The rear of the car has warped by a few millimetres, so I'm using these rubber bands to try and bring it in a little bit, and as soon as it becomes the right width for the boot, I glue them together. I also reinforce the inside with a little bit of super glue. Next I give it a spray with some grey primer, and once that's dried I give it a spray with some British Racing Green. I never liked hand painting vehicles. The paint is applied with a spray gun, and I believe that process should be replicated as near as possible. Plus it also helps to set the scale when you don't have any brush marks. So while that's to one side drying, I start working the chassis. I pre-painted the axles silver while they're on the sprue. The kit has been designed so that these can rotate and turn the wheels, but because the fittings are so tiny and so fiddly, it's just easy to glue them into place, because for most people's purposes they don't really need the wheels to turn. I feel like the models to remain in place. Next I build up the engine block, which consists of 3 parts, and then that's glued in place at the front of the chassis. Because these pieces are really tiny, I won't be able to film every step of the process, but I'll at least explain what I've done and why. Next I remove the wheel from the sprue, and they come in 3 parts each. We have the back half of the tyre, which is first glued to the axles. Then that's followed by the front half, so I have to be careful to make sure they line up. And that's topped off with a pre-painted wheel trim. And believe me, it is easier and neater painting it first. And now I can move on to the inside of the car, where I've attached the seats. Next I assemble the dashboard, including the steering wheel. Then I glue them into place. And I also added on the gear stick, not that you'll be able to see it at this scale. And then lastly, for the carriage section, I glue on both sides. And then I can finally line it up with the pegs on the chassis and glue it in place. And then I can move on to the bodywork. As you can see, that green colour has come out nice, but the grille at the front needs to be painted silver, and when painting onto gloss you might need 2 or 3 coats. Next I add in the windows. They come in 3 sections, and it's always tricky to do this without leaving any marks. And once those are all in place, the body can be attached to the chassis. It doesn't line up perfectly, but that's where super glue comes in. There's just a handful of parts left to attach to the body. These are extremely small and tweezers are very helpful indeed. The only thing I couldn't attach were the front indicators, because every time I tried to pick them up with some tweezers they shot across the room, so I gave it up. Once all the pieces are in place, there's 3 decals to attach. There's a pair of number plates plus a badge which goes on the boot. Once the decals have had time to set, this model is done. This wasn't the easiest kit to put together, partly because of its incredibly small scale, and partly because some of the parts don't slot together very well, and that means guesswork and a big chance of making mistakes. There's also some colour information missing from the colour guide, as I had no idea whether the door handles or the window trim needed to be painted in silver or not, so it would be nice if that was cleared up for future releases. Otherwise it's not a bad little kit. It's definitely steered toward the more professional end of the hobby, and that purely because of the size of the kit alone, as it's just so fiddly. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.